One of the sickest things that I found out of Empire Strikes Back is George Lucas decided to avoid major studios and funded a lot of Empire Strikes Back out of his own pockets to avoid creative rights, and yet years later sells out in huge fashion to destroy the story of Star Wars. Craziness.
Yeah.
He sold out.
Sold out. I know, I read that too.
Hey, I'm Matt Logan from Maddie's Movie Mix, and it's been a while. We've been MIA for the last couple of months, and it is because, hey, so there's no denying that we live in a weird world. Rules are always changing, things are always happening that we don't like and appreciate, but not everything weird is bad. One of the weird things in life is for the past probably, most of this year really, the thing I do to pay the bills that I have, some people call it a job, it hasn't gone the best. It's been turbulent, and it went away a couple of months ago, so I've really had to navigate some things, get really aggressive on some things, and so I started a company called Shiny Brand. So you can look it up at shinybrand.com. I came up with that acronym SHINY as a teaching to teach people the weird, bad, negative things that happen and how that we can hold strong. Well, actually, that's the first letter, strong. Second one is hope, influential, necessary, you. I'm not going to talk a lot about that here, but I thank you for watching. We're having fun with the podcast. We're going to continue to do about 3 videos a week. I hope you enjoy. I hope to hear from you. We'll see you soon. Empire Strikes Back is arguably one of the best Star Wars ever made. We are looking at it because it came out in 1980, one of the top films of 1980. And we are in Throwback Thursday, 1980 edition.
Yes, we are.
This was fun. I watch this probably at least every other year. I just love it. I just
agree.
can't even say.
I
just
agree.
love it. I love it.
I wholeheartedly agree. It's one of those movies that it is out of the original Star Wars. This was by far my favorite.
Yeah. You went to the theater, you said.
I went to the theater, and the first time I went
was
to
that
the
like
theater,
epic?
It was huge for me. It was huge for me. I can't even tell you, hearing the surround sound, the music, the sabers, it was huge.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Especially, like, this was the first film that they really did that, like the, they really made emphasis on that. That was really cool. And then all the way up to the end of the film, spoiler, 1980, I mean, come on, it's going to happen. The most misquoted Star Wars ever is Luke, I am your father.
That's not what was said.
It's not what was said. What is it? You remember? It's no, I am your father.
No, that one word.
No, it's just that's the difference. That's I remember that. So I have this somewhere buried in boxes somewhere in VHS. I should have probably dug around for it, but it's so different now. I mean, I have this on even Blu-ray now, but I bought this on DVD when DVDs came out in the early 2000s, late 90s. And then Blu-ray as they came out. But on VHS, this was so different. There's extra scenes in this. The Hoth scene with the what's that creature called? I can't remember now. But where Luke is taken and is going to be eaten by this creature.
Like the woolly mammoth type.
Yeah. And, there's like 3 or 4 different parts added to that scene and all kinds of things that were added in this.
Not only that, on the VHS version, so much darker.
Yes, and of course widescreen didn't exist like we see it right now. So I'm not sure how they did that exactly. Did they actually film it in widescreen? I couldn't find that because that didn't exist. So it's remarkable though. Mark Hamill did all of his own stunts with the exception when he got sucked out that window.
And to make, because he had gotten into a real life car accident.
Yes.
And that worked perfectly with the scarring from
Sure.
the mammoth. So that was pretty genius. But for him to do his own stunts.
Yep.
And I have to tell you,
I think he's a better voice actor than actor, by the way. So go
we were
ahead.
on the same line. we thinking exactly the same. I do not particularly think he's a great actor.
No.
At all. I liked him in the Big Red one better than I did this series.
I
think
saying,
the genius came off of Han Solo.
Oh yeah, completely,
Yeah.
totally. I mean, Harrison Ford stole the show. Everybody like
He's a
back
badass.
Then, yeah,
He's a
would
badass.
totally agree with that. Got the girl, you know, the whole thing. Which was also a weird thing that George Lucas wrote in there, sister, brother. That was weird, man. I didn't care for that. Even young when I first saw this, I'm like, that's bizarre. I don't know. I don't get that. I'm not going to go into it any more than that. I'll leave it alone. But that was a very bizarre thing.
I do think that what I loved about Harrison Ford's character is he's brash, unapologetic, just way out there. The way he goes about getting the girl. Yeah. Almost hard to get himself. Yeah. Very arrogant. Thinks he's God's gift to women, which he probably is.
He's God's gift to everything.
So, and how she kind of crumbles. So it's really nice to see the plot and then to kind of see the love story developing. Yeah. For those that want that romantic edge.
Yeah. And it makes sense because that's real life. I mean, that kind of stuff happens in real life. You know, the scene that we're watching right now is where he loses his hand. That's very dramatic. When I first saw this, I mean, I remember first seeing this. You know, I'm sitting there and I'm like leaning forward, like, what's going on? You know, it was great. I cannot, I mean, I'm not a kid anymore, but I can't remember many movies that really had the effect that this did.
And you didn't see it coming.
No, you didn't see it coming, for sure.
And that was great. And what I loved, especially with the Darth Vader character, I'm a huge James Earl Jones fan to begin with, so I love the voice. Love the voice of him. But there was some pretty iconic actors in here. Billy Dee Williams. Lando. I thought Lando brought a certain amount of fun to the film.
For sure. And a charisma that needed to happen, that kind of that business charisma. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And then there, of course, is Sir Alec Guinness. Yes. He was not going to do this. Did you see that? He
was not a fan. He wanted to kill this character quickly.
Like for real.
For real. He did not want.
Yeah. That was his whole thing in the first one.
He regretted even agreeing to do it.
Yes. He shot in Empire Strikes Back. He shot from 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. one day, and that's all he gave them.
And hey,
and he took a percentage. Very small percentage. That was his fee, and he made millions.
But there again,
that was awesome.
But there again, he is Sir Alec.
Yeah. He's
I've
smart.
always admired him.
Yeah. It's a craft to him. It's an art, you know, and that's, I think, what's lost so much today. I mean, you think about it, in 2024, who can you say does this as an art, as a craft anymore? And you know what? Every single one that I can think of are old. Keanu Reeves. There's not many.
And Keanu Reeves is not that great.
He's not that great, but he's very genuine to the craft.
He's very genuine.
You know, and as a person.
As a person, he's amazing.
And, you know, and so that's what I mean. Like, they're not selling out. They're not going in for the millions or billions of dollars that can be made.
That's what I loved about Sir Anthony Hopkins.
For sure.
Very true to himself.
For sure. Just Dennis Hopper before he died.
Before he died,
very dedicated
Love
to
Dennis
his craft.
Hopper.
Yeah. You know, you're looking at things like what happened to people though, like Robert De Niro. I mean, he's gone way crazy. It's weird. You know, he's another example though of craft and art. Like that's the kind of stuff that growing up, that's why I loved films. Like it was completely separate. You know, Carrie Fisher, as tacky as she is, this was really a thing for her.
Yeah, where she actually came to the set early to see people.
Exactly.
The thing that was so sad when you were mentioning Robert De Niro, and Robert De Niro is one of my favorite actors along with Al Pacino, and anybody that knows me knows that The Godfathers are like my favorite film.
Yes.
But
we tried to do The Godfather together. We kept it scheduling issues.
I absolutely love The Godfather just because I'm part Italian myself. But my all-time favorite film by De Niro is actually The Deer Hunter.
Oh yeah, boy, I haven't seen that.
Oh, great! I watch it all the time. I absolutely love it.
16 years old.
I absolutely love The Deer Hunter, and that's where you see a different side of De Niro to the craft with Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
They're Walker. I mean, they're just fantastic. But you're right. You don't see the.
It's all about the paycheck.
It's about the paycheck.
It's about the hyperbole, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And so I miss that. And that's one of the things that I love about Throwback Thursdays here, that we get to explore some of those things,
Yes.
Both current or fairly current and very past. It's remarkable how those things are so different in such a short time.
And I'm so excited that they haven't recreated this.
One of the
With
things
different
that
actors
worries,
and-
yeah, for sure, no, absolutely. One of the things that does concern me, George did sell out.
Yes,
He's a sellout.
Yes, he did.
I mean, I there's no other way to put it.
Nope.
He took billions of dollars and said, "This is great." He has now since taken
Regretted
some of
that.
those dollars and tried to get it back, and some of it he's sort of gained. However, massive regret for sure. Like,
Well,
you
yeah,
said.
because he took himself out of the Screen Actors Guild
Yes.
and regretted that.
Yes.
Dumb move.
Well, it was a dumb move, but I don't. Well, maybe,
Yeah, no.
Well, it was a dumb move. I think what he was trying to do was remove that altogether as a whole, because it ended up, actually Reagan had even talked about this. You know, he was president of that
Of
stuff.
the Screen Actors Guild, yes.
And so he even said, look, this has gotten way out of hand. This is not what it was designed to do or be. And, you know, let's reset this thing. And it just got worse and worse and worse.
I think it's one of those.
And so I think he was seeing that, though. Like, it was like, I need to remove myself from that because it's corrupt and it's dangerous.
I also think there's a little bit of the grass isn't always greener elsewhere once he did it.
Sure.
However,
He did it.
he did it.
He sold billions.
But the amount of money, because of how huge this movie was, man, he made his money back in spades. What was it? What were they saying for?
Yeah, so 500 and
500 and some,
yeah, 550 million is estimated
Yeah,
box office. Yeah.
huge.
Let alone all the toys and everything else, all kinds of memorabilia, DVD, Blu-ray, all that kind of stuff since. It's insane.
It's insane. What was fun too was some of the little trivia. I always get a kick out of reading the trivia.
Yeah.
Because I think that just kind of brings so much more, and it kind of puts me in that world of, oh, this is what they, real life. So the Echo Base Rangers
Sure.
were actually the Norwegian, and
yeah.
he donated money to the American Red Cross for them.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. He's utilizing local economy, locals
Yep.
for his film. Genius.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting
and
the,
you don't
getting
get
the
that
crowd.
anymore.
And yeah, it did. He bankrolled $18 million to finance the
Yeah.
movie. Genius.
Yeah. To just have creative control.
Yeah. Well,
It's genius. It is absolutely. But he was also. He put everything on the risk for Star Wars. I mean, it was all on the line. His reputation.
It could have gone
his
very
everything.
badly.
We're coming off the success 10 years later of Star Trek, so he introduces Star Wars. Same first name. All that kind of stuff. Obviously, he had a lot of criticism for that.
Yeah, because he's no Gene Roddenberry.
No.
And I'm a Trekkie
No.
fan.
Yeah.
So when these kind of came out,
Trek
it's
has
like,
a lot more depth to it than this, for sure. Yeah, a lot more depth to it. Absolutely. And Gene he's absolutely, that's why.
brilliant.
Yeah, for sure.
But what I found was kind of a fun fact, and I didn't even know this. 64 sets were constructed just for this movie. I mean, that's a lot of work for people, which is great.
Yep.
Economy, once
Yep.
again.
Yep.
But wow, 64 sets.
Yeah. And the lighting for all these visual effects in some of these different scenes were so bright, it melted some of the sets. They had to rebuild them.
I believe that.
Thankfully, no fires.
No fires.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And some of the snow scenes were real. That wasn't a fabricated set.
Yeah, we're in Norway.
Yeah, and Harrison Ford couldn't get there by train. They had to find a snow plow.
Yep.
Get him on a snow plow.
Carrie Fisher came soon. Came sooner. Mark Hamill had to be out in the cold all by himself for hours and hours.
While the filmers were in the hallway and in the lobby and stuff of the hotel, filming him out the windows in this snowstorm.
I bet he's thinking...
It's great. You don't get that anymore, and I miss it.
I know. I bet he's thinking, you bastards. I'm freezing my ass off out here.
Yeah. Meanwhile, his wife's having a kid.
Yeah, right.
You know, their first kid,
Their first kid.
Yeah. So, I am not a Mark Hamill fan in general. I think one of the things that I really appreciate, though, about what Lucas did with Star Wars is he took a lot of unknowns, which is actually what happened. And one of the things that I appreciate even more so with that is what happened in Bond stuff. Like, that's what they did in Bond. Cubby Broccoli in Bond movies, there were nobodies. And he was, and the reason for that was because they were going to pour into the role. They were going to give it their all. And you can see that in these films, and it's fantastic. I was disappointed that George Lucas didn't direct it, though, and that's all I got.
I actually, honestly, I enjoyed more C-3PO, R2-D2, Yoda.
They developed his character.
I love
for
Yoda.
Sure, both of them. Yoda,
because there's not a person alive that is not somehow doing a Yodaism.
For sure.
Those lines are...
Yeah.
You know, and I have to say, because music is huge for me, John Williams was brilliant with the soundtrack.
Yes.
Music is huge. I think music can make or break a film.
For sure.
To a certain point.
And with Star Wars, the orchestra that they had, I mean, it rivaled Hans Zimmer.
Yes. And just the simple, what they do to make the sound effects. Like the vacuum.
Yeah.
Turn the vacuum on reverse.
Yeah.
That's genius.
Yeah.
I mean, I think sound has a lot to do with some of those iconic sounds. We were talking in a podcast before in Halloween. When you hear that iconic music, you know it's a Halloween film.
Yeah.
It's just a given.
Yep.
And you associate. Oh, I'm going to watch Halloween.
Yep.
So I do think that what they've done, this movie by far is never going to die. It's in the vaults of all vaults, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Absolutely, this was my all-time favorite Star Wars film. Didn't care for The New Hope. Just was not big on The New Hope, the very first one.
The very first one, okay.
Was not big on that. Wasn't really big on the end of it, the third one.
Sure.
The third installment.
This was, I will say, to me, if I would have to rank them, Empire Strikes Back is
the one after, don't care for the whole Ewok thing.
Sure.
Really. But this was by far my favorite Star Wars film, and yes, I agree with you. It was a great film. Not really, like I said, I'm not a huge Mark Hamill fan, but with what he did, he made it.
Yeah.
Made himself really well known, but at the same time, he also typecasted himself.
For sure.
Where Harrison Ford went on to more brilliant roles.
Yeah.
You know, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Clear and Present Danger. Even Carrie Fisher moved on to becoming Postcards from the Edge, writer, comedian. But Mark just kind of seemed to stay right in that.
that kind of comic book superheroes villain.
Yep.
For sure. Absolutely.
So yes, this was a win for me.
Yeah. Tell us what you think. Comment here or there, everywhere, which is also.
Awesome. Are you going to make me do that?
Are you ready?
Legit
Q
at Maddie'sMovieMix.com.
She got it.
Oh my God.
See you soon.
So
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Hammer the share button. Go ahead and hammer out a comment to us. Go ahead and hammer the like button. Go ahead and hammer the subscription button. Go ahead and hammer the notification bells, because you know what? That's the best way you can support us. We appreciate it.